emes, truth, to the idea of tzedakah. And he associates the idea of truth with an emotion or with an attribute. And that's the attribute of mercy. And therefore, when we look in Tanakh, Hashem says, Titein emes leYaakov. I will give truth to Jacob, because Jacob is connected to the idea of mercy. In order to understand all of this, he began to speak about the concept of how Hashem's greatness literally is unimaginable, because everything of creation is nothing more than a combination of letters, and all of these letters come from one letter, and we all understand the total insignificance of one letter that you might utter in your lifetime, to not only to all of the letters that you will utter in your lifetime, but to the capacity, to the potential of letters that you could say. So as insignificant one letter would be in proportion to all of that, it's infinitely more distant, Hashem's greatness, from what he actually created. And as I never tire of reminding you, it's much more than creating just man or trees. The whole concept of creation, including angels and spiritual worlds and different dimensions, etc., all of that is a creation, and it is kalei chashiv. It is as if it is of no significance when we talk about the true greatness of Hashem. So let's start, again, we'll repeat a couple of lines, but it's on page Kuf Yud, approximately 10 lines from the bottom, the last two words. This is what we say, Hamalach Hamademam Lavadei Mayaz, the exalted king who always was, Mayaz, from all of existence, from all of time. Pirush, Kamesha Mayaz Kedem Abriya, just like Mayaz from before, even before creation. What we say about God is Hayahu Lavadei, he alone existed. Ukach so to also now, he's the only existence. And he's exalted from above everything that he created. He's exalted from the days of the world, that he's exalted much higher than the concept of time, which is called days. And if you recall from last week, we spoke about that the one, not probably it's the one, but certainly one of the things that man cannot control is time. And as we spoke, time is aging, and this is something that we, as much as we try and endeavor to conquer death and to prolong life and to remain youthful, it's something that's beyond us. We're making improvements in health, but ultimately, time is a constant reminder to a human that he is human. In contrast to the Creator is not affected by time, because the Creator created time. And that's what he says, that Hashem is a king, may us, from all time being, there was a king. And he explains now, he adds a word. When we talk about Hashem, who's infinitely removed from creation and from the limitations of creation, and we point out that time is a creation, we also are reminded that not only is time a creation, but it's coming from not in italics, in brackets, not from Hashem working very hard to create time, but from his level of kingship. And as we're taught in Kabbalah, that there are 10 sfirot, so the lowest of the 10 sfirot is Malchus, kingship. And so from the lowest level of God revealing himself comes to us the mystery of God's creation in terms of time itself. Okay, so now we're 2 lines from the bottom. That's where we got up to last week. So now that the Alter Rebbe so beautifully and eloquently reminded us of the distance, which cannot be brought any closer between creator and creation. There's an absolute gap. So why would Hashem be involved with creation? So this is what he writes. For this reason, harachmanas gedela ma'ed ma'ed. Therefore, Hashem's compassion becomes very greatly revealed. Ala nitzutz hasheichim beguf hacheshech, on the godliness, the spark, which is dwelling in the body of darkness. Mashcha the chavya, sometimes it's called the skin of a serpent. Turn the page on top of 220. Ha'olo lakabel tuma. So here we have, in other words, we are existing, we are alive. So that clearly means that part of the creator, which we will liken it to a spark, is inside of us. But the way this spark is inside of us, it could be affected by the body. L'kabel tuma, it could become tamei, or lizgol b'chol ha'taivos rachman al-litzlan, and it could become actually despicable with all of the physicality. Lulei Hakodesh Baruch Hu magin lei. However, we are protected. Were it not to have been for Hashem protecting us, we would be much lower than the mud that we step in. But Hashem protects us. And he gives us the strength and the power to fight the body, and its desires, and actually not only to fight the physicality of the body, but to be prevail over it. That's why in our davening we mentioned that God is the Lord. He's the power of us. Magen Yesheno, he's our shield and of salvation, etc. Let me just perhaps offer a little bit of a physical vision. You have a log, okay, a piece of thick wood, and you're burning it in your campfire, right? And then you poke it, and a bunch of sparks come out. Now, the wood is not going to be extinguished unless it consumes itself, or you're going to smother it with sand or water. But the spark, as soon as it leaves, its life and its energy is very, very brief. So sometimes by the time it lands, you see it go up in the air, maybe 18 feet or less, or whatever, 12 feet. By the time it lands on your clothing, or by the time it lands on the ground, it goes completely out. Of course, we know fires are started by sparks. Sometimes it doesn't go out. But I merely want to illustrate that the log is the fire. The spark is coming from the fire, but clearly you can't hold a burning log in your hand, but there's a very good chance that you could hold a spark in your hand, because the intensity of the fire that's in this spark is nothing more than an irritant, though it comes from this burning log. everything of creation can only exist because there's a true existence. Everything of creation can only exist because the creator is creating it. And we already spoke about this at length, because one of the most powerful and important teachings of the Baal Shem Tov, as explained at length in Hasidic philosophy of Chabad, is that Hashem is constantly creating. In other words, it's not that he created and put a certain amount of divine creativity in creation, and then it could exist on its own. If, again, using the physical world, it's not like he put a battery of existence into a tree, but rather, Baal Shem Tov, Holy Baal Shem Tov taught that every moment he is creating the tree. But the way this godly energy is creating the tree, creating our body, creating the environment that we are in, we could liken it to that spark. It's coming from the log, but clearly the physical world is dominant. It's covering up on this spiritual energy. Or to put it in different words, the world exists and we believe that God is in this world. We believe in God, but we know the world. So this spark of God, this spark of godliness, when it's lodged into the physical, we might think that the spark will go out. What does that mean, the spark will go out? Godliness will never disappear, but its effect on the body won't be significant. So you could have, and you're near the campfire, and you could trace one of the sparks that leaves the log, and you catch it in your hand, or it lands on your sweater and you don't burn up. This spark doesn't have the strength, doesn't have the intensity to ignite a fire. So even though, of course, it was a spark when it landed. So I might think, lahavdil, of course, to make a separation between the parable I just said, I might think that the spark of God, which is found in the physical, it is a part. It has the godly influence strong enough to keep existence alive, but it's not strong enough to dominate the physical. And that actually would seem to be correct. When I say correct, in other words, the reality of creation is we see, we feel, we touch, we measure, we taste the world, the physical, and the spark of God that's found in everything, including in the air that we breathe, we don't see it. Now we are told Hashem does not allow that. No, even with this strong covering over the spark, Hashem still protects us and protects the spark from going out. And that's why we call him our strength and our shield, not only in referring to maybe our enemies, anti-Semites, we're referring to the existence itself. The fact that me and you are constantly confronted with the desires of this world, and then the obligation to do what's right, which often is in conflict with the desires. I want to sleep. What I should do is get up and go to work. I want to be lazy, but what I should do is help my wife, etc. So what gives me the strength to go beyond the physical? That is actually God is helping me. He is my helper. Okay, we continue. It's known that there is two different forms of loving and fearing God. One way of accessing, loving God, and fearing God is actually to work hard on thinking about the greatness of God. And to think about things that bring you to love and fear. However, there's a second way, afterwards, it comes from above as a gift. As it says elsewhere, Apostle Avedas Matana etenes naschem. In the Chumash, it says that Hashem will gives gifts to the Kohen. Kabbalistically, it's interpreted that when a person does what he's able to do in terms of loving and fearing God, then Hashem gives him the gift of love. Okay, let me explain a tiny bit of this. But again, these are concepts which are discussed extensively in many different places, and each time with further emphasis. And so let me fabricate an example. Let's say you want to get close to someone. Okay, it's easiest to see this in a spouse, but it works with friends and with anyone. You want to get closer. For whatever reason, you're attracted, or we can even use the word you love this person. What your goal is not only to express your love, but that love should be reciprocated. So, and indeed, in a marriage model, this is actually sometimes very distressing, where one of the spouses feels more in love or expresses love in a much greater intensity than the other one, and then wonders, does the other one love me as much? And it becomes an unequal proposition, and it's painful because we would like to see reciprocity in this. So let's say, for example, you love a person, and because you love this person, you really spend time trying to please this person and to do things that will bring them joy. When that person receives so much of you, he was always, or she was always, very responsive, very polite, more than polite, even emotional, but not to the intensity that you wanted. But after they see how much it means to you, they respond with a effusiveness. For you, not only have you received your goal, it's almost like a gift to make a separation of separations. A person wants to feel gratitude to God. He wants to feel closeness to God. So he actually spends time, whether it be an intense 3-4 minutes of a day, or maybe much more time. He actually thinks about the fact that God gives him life and gives him health and gives him companionship and gives him pleasure and gives him intelligence and gives him family and gives him a profession and gives him a community and gives him teachers and on and on. He thinks about what the goodness, unwarranted kindness that Hashem does for him. So he awakens within himself a love. I love my God. I want to please my God. I want to daven. I want to learn. I want to make God proud of me. But because we're human, which means we're subjective, which means we're physical, which means we're selfish. So all of this love that I'm thinking about, how great God is and how much I want to attach myself to him, it's all going to be through the filter of me. But Hashem will respond as if to say in a similar way. He'll continue to shower me with the blessings that I acknowledge. But when Hashem sees how much I want to serve him, then Hashem can give a gift. Hashem can actually respond in a way where my love for God turns into ecstasy, into bliss, into there's nothing more pleasurable in existence than to be in the presence of Hashem. How am I in the presence of Hashem? Through study of Torah and through praying to him and meditating, etc. That's a gift. So the Rebbe continues. Certainly, you cannot make the proportion between the first level of love, Shehim Teldes Hasechel Hanivra, which is dependent on how much you could think. In other words, the most your mind could create in terms of emotion. You can't compare that to the latter, which comes from Hashem. Again, going back to the couple, the spouse. So one is trying so hard to get a response from their partner. So let's do the traditional. She says to him, "Do you love me?" And his response is, "More than life itself." What do you mean, do I love you? And she says, "So why can't you show more love?" And sometimes, in a very earnest way, he says, "I don't know, I just can't. My heart is filled with it. I mean, I am dedicated, I am committed, I'm yours in every possible way." And she says, "Yeah, but why can't you show it?" He said, I don't know. I'm cold. Intellectually, I'm cold. But please don't doubt. And in action, the husband is a loving husband in terms of dedication, commitment, sacrifice. And yet, she's a little sad. Why can't he reveal more of what he claims he has? Again, lahavdot, this is all, separation, just to help you jump to the next level. Here we are. Hashem says, "Do you really love me?" And the Jew says, "I would die for you, God. So you gave me a 12-hour day. I do as much as humanly possible. I spend an hour of study. I do prayer 3 times a day. I give between 15 and 20% of my assets to you. I'm trying to raise my children. I spend time. I'm juggling everything because I love you." And Hashem says, no, of course he doesn't say it like that, but so how come you're still so physical? How come when you're hungry, that becomes your dominant feeling if you're so much in love with me. And the Jew responds, well, I'm a finite physical being. You created me with these limitations. So when I gotta go to the bathroom, I gotta go to the bathroom, no matter how much I love you. So when a person gives the most he can to Hashem, there are times when Hashem gives him a gift, the gift of love, the gift to feel the closeness that a human being could feel towards Hashem. Now, this is not something that the average Jew gets, because not all of us deserve this gift. But of course, what we consider tzaddikim, and occasionally even ordinary people, are given this gift, where there are moments or maybe parts of their day or their life where literally they are in love with Hashem. So this level of love, which is the gift of that Hashem gives, this is incomparable. It is superior to the feeling of love that a person could create on his own. And therefore, we'll end off with the next two lines, and therefore, hein hanikrois b'shem emes. Now, this feeling of love is a true feeling of love. Ki chesmei shel Hakodesh Baruch Hu emes. The seal of the Holy One, blessed be He, is truth. And when we talk about truth in terms of the divine, shu emes ha'amiti, it is the true truth. B'chol emes shebenevraim kelei chashivi kamei. All of the truth that man can create is real, again, kelei chashivi, it is not reckoned before him as truth. Ach eza haderach, I'll read it quickly, tomorrow we'll repeat this. Ach eza haderach sheyiska ha'adam le'emes Hashem. So what is the path for a person to be worthy of this truthfulness of Hashem? And that is when he awakens mercy before God, al hanitzus shebenafshe, on the spark of God that's in his soul, which shehi midasa shel Yankov. We already said that mercy is an attribute of Yaakov. Mavriach, we'll end with this. Mavriach mi'akotza el hakotza. Those of you that recall the Chumash in the description of the tabernacle, there were many boards. How did all of the boards stay erect? Because as you know, sometimes you could try to put, if you're taking one, 2x4, it's going to stay straight. But if you put one 2x4 next to another 2x4, next to another 2x4, in order to keep them all proportionally equal, you need like some type of a beam or some type of a unifier, whether it be in the middle of it or outside of it, like a bar, to keep it all standing equal. So there was like that. There was a mavriach, there was a board, or not a board, I'm sorry, a beam that went through all of the boards in the middle to keep them steadfast. This, and it's called mavriach min hakotza l'kotza, from one side to the other side. In Kabbalistic literature, rachamim, mercy, is mavriach. It's able to bridge all of the different levels from one level to another. And that is why it is called not only truth, but the truth of truth. Okay, with this, we'll end for today. And let me just wish you, besides wishing you a good day, remind you that Tuesday and Wednesday is a Hasidic holiday. It's the liberation and of the previous Rebbe from his imprisonment under Stalin, 1927. We will be, it is a Hasidic holiday. We don't say Tachnun, Tuesday and Wednesday. And with Hashem's help, we'll have a Farbrengen in person at 423 10th Avenue with light refreshments and hopefully interesting stories and inspiration. And I certainly hope that you'll join us. Okay, shalom, everybody. Good day.
Rabbi Hecht, would it be possible to see it on Zoom too?
We'll see.
Oh.
I mean, it was still good. I mean, I'll see if I could put the Zoom on. Maybe I will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Okay.